I wasn't supposed to be at the beach that day. I had picked up an extra shift at the diner, but Jenny, my little sister, had one of her migraines and I couldn't leave her alone. So I called in, wheeled her down to the boardwalk, and figured we'd get some fresh air. Nothing fancy. Just the two of us, like always. Venice Point wasn't the kind of beach you'd find in tourist brochures. It was a little worn down with rusty lifeguard towers and surfers who'd seen better days. But it was home. I'd grown up sketching on that sand, dreaming of art school of galleries of anything beyond paycheck to paycheck. Jenny was the reason I never left. After our parents died, she became my whole world. And that day, while I was sitting on my usual blanket sketchbook in my lap trying to capture the way the sunlight hit the waves, I heard the scream. "He's drowning. Somebody help." At first I thought it was some kid joking around, but then I saw her, a woman near the shoreline, screaming, pointing. And then I saw him about 50 yards out, arms flailing like he was trying to fight the ocean. The lifeguard station was empty. No one moved. People just stared. I didn't think. I dropped my sketchbook, kicked off my shoes, and sprinted into the surf. That water was freezing. My lungs tightened, but I kept going, arms cutting through the tide, praying I wasn't too late. When I reached him, he'd already slipped under once. I caught his shoulder as he surfaced again, limp, heavy, unconscious. Dragging a full-grown man through a rip current feels like hauling cement through a blender. My arms were screaming, my legs barely worked, but somehow I got him to shore. He wasn't breathing. I started CPR, counting under my breath, pressing into his chest with everything I had. "Come on, come on." Then he gasped, choked, coughed up a gallon of seawater, and blinked like he didn't know what planet he was on. "You're okay," I told him. "You're safe." He stared at me, dazed. Whispered, "You saved me." I laughed out of breath. "Well, I wasn't about to let you float off like driftwood." He asked where he was. I said Venice Point. He didn't say much after that. Just got up soaked and silent and walked away before I could even get his name. I didn't think I'd ever see him again. Turns out, I was wrong. A week later, Jenny and I were at the farmer's market. She wanted strawberries. I bent down to grab a basket and bumped into someone. My bag fell. Apples everywhere. And when I looked up, it was him. No salt water, no panic, just a soft gray shirt, jeans, and that same face, except now calm, confident, alive. "You," I said. "Yeah," he smiled. "It's me, from the beach." He helped me pick up the apples, said his name was Leo. No last name, no details, just Leo. Jenny called him the soggy seal and grilled him right there in the middle of the market like a tiny detective. And to my surprise, he stayed. Carried our groceries. Talked about freelance coding. Bought me sunflowers as a thank you for saving his life. And then he started showing up. At the cafe where I worked. At the bookstore near my place. Sometimes just to say hi. Sometimes to sketch beside me in silence. He made me laugh. He made Jenny smile. He listened when I talked about painting, about losing our parents, about putting dreams on hold because life demanded more. And I started to fall for a man I didn't know nearly as well as I thought. Because Leo, he wasn't real. Not really. His name was Nolan Chase. Yeah. That. Nolan Chase. The CEO of Chase Tech. Youngest billionaire in the Valley. Face on the cover of Wired. Heir to a tech empire and apparently to an ocean full of secrets. I found out the worst way. He invited me to a gala. Said he wanted me to meet some clients. I borrowed a dress. Jenny did my makeup. And when we walked in, all eyes were on us. I didn't understand why. Not until the woman with the icy voice took the mic. Vanessa Trent, his PR director, his ex, his leash maybe. She played a slideshow, photos of us, at the beach, at the cafe, me sketching him smiling, all narrated by her cutting voice. She called me a distraction, a waitress, said Nolan, her golden boy, had lied to everyone. And then she dropped the final punch. Nolan Chase, she said, has been posing as someone else, while billion-dollar deals hung in the balance. Everyone stared at me like I was a scandal. He ran to my side, breathless, begging to explain. "You're Nolan Chase," I asked, barely above a whisper. "I was going to tell you when I snapped." After I saw my face on a screen like some sideshow joke. He said he didn't mean to lie, that Leo was real, that with me he was more himself than he'd ever been. But that wasn't the point. He made me fall in love with someone who never existed. And I told him right there in front of everyone, "You should have let the tide take you." Then I walked away. For weeks after, I couldn't draw, couldn't even step near the ocean. My sketchbook stayed closed. My heart too. But then one morning, my manager handed me an envelope. No return address. Inside, just a brochure. Project Jenny, a new art space built for siblings of kids with disabilities, with free classes, mobility access, scholarships. At the bottom it said, "You saved a life. Now it's time to live yours." No name, but I knew. He'd disappeared again. No calls, no flowers, no big gestures, just this. Later that evening, I saw it, a mural near the cafe, a woman diving into a stormy sea pulling a faceless man from the waves. Her arms strong, her eyes fierce. Beneath it in soft script, "Not all heroes wear names." I touched the paint and felt something crack open in me again. And then I heard footsteps. He stood behind me. No suit, no entourage. Just a man bare and broken, holding nothing but honesty. "I didn't do any of this to win you back," he said. "I just needed you to know Leo wasn't a lie. He was who I really was when I wasn't being what the world expected." I told him, "You broke my heart." He nodded. "I know, but you also reminded me who I used to be. And I'd rather be that man, even without you, than go back to who I was." I looked at him, and for the first time since that night, I believed him. I was still scared. He was too. But we stood there, hands brushing waves crashing behind us, and something told me we were stronger now, broken edges and all. "You still can't swim, can you?" I teased. He smiled. "Not without you around." And when I kissed him, it wasn't for the past. It was for what came after the storm. Now let me ask you something. Is love still love if it starts with a lie? Can someone truly change after breaking your trust? Or do second chances only exist in stories like this? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever been let down or lifted up by someone you never expected, this story's for you. Don't forget to subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes in the tide bringing people back, not just taking them away.